Hey guys, welcome back and welcome to week 2 of my travel vlogs. So the topic for today's video is going to be travel visas. Finding the correct travel visa is very, very important because if you don't have the right one, then you may not be able to go to that country at all. Unfortunately, this has been a lesson I have had to learn the hard way. First, I will explain the best I can what a visa is, because again, when I was first starting to travel, I had no idea what a visa was. I didn't really even know the difference between a passport and a visa. I thought it was something that I could have either or, but it's one that you have to have both. The visa part is just basically approval from the country saying that you can enter. Now, this is where it becomes very, very difficult to explain all the different avenues that we could go down when talking about visas. So first I will talk about the 3 main kinds of visas that people usually get. So there's the tourist visas, there's an education visa, and there's a business visa. There are more, but I think those are the main 3. We're gonna save the tourist visa for last because there's the most information in that one. So business visa, first of all, you have to have a company that you're already going to work for in that specific country. They have to basically sponsor you to then apply for this business visa. So it's not something that you can say, oh, I really want to go and work in this country and kind of just figure it out once I get there. It doesn't work like that with the business visa. The second one that I'm going to talk about is the education visa. For this one, you have to be enrolled in some sort of school curriculum in that country. So you need to be either attending a university in that country and taking a course, or doing like a study abroad program, things like that. The education visa is typically longer than the tourist visa to allow you to stay in that country for the duration of the semester or the school year. For the tourist visas, they differ in so many ways based on what country that you're going to. You have to look up the visa requirements for the specific country before you get too close to your flight time, because some of them do take a while to process and get back to you. So from what I've seen, there are about 4 major visas that countries can require. The first one is going to be the ETA. ETA stands for Electronic Travel Authorization. And basically what this one is an online application. Basically, it takes the place of a stamp in your passport. It's just an authorization from the country saying that you are allowed into the country. You apply for it online, and then it is basically linked to your passport. So when you travel to the country, they are able to scan your passport and your ETA is already linked to it. So it's basically the same thing as them stamping your passport, kind of. It takes the place of that, so you won't get a stamp on your passport. The second one that I'm going to talk about is the e-visa. This one's very similar to the regular visa in that the application process that you fill out is pretty much the same, but an e-visa, basically you can submit everything online, and the regular visa means that you have to go to the embassy in your country and submit it in person. The e-visa is pretty much the same process. Typically you need the same documents, but that you can submit everything online and you don't actually have to physically go into the embassy in order to submit your paperwork. You do it all online, and then they process everything and then give you your visa. Again, applying for the visas and the e-visas does take a lot of time. So make sure that you have that set well in advance before your trip so that you don't run into any issues. The next ones that I'm going to talk about are the visa on arrival and no visa, which are nice because it requires very little effort on your part. Basically, for the visa on arrival, once you get to the country that you're traveling to, you will just pay them directly at the airport for the visa, and it's just an immediate, they stamp you and you go. They might ask you some questions like, where are you staying? How long are you staying? When is your return flight? Things like that. And so you just want to have those documents ready in case they do ask. But I've had it a lot where I don't get asked anything. They just basically stamp and go. No visa is obviously best case scenario because you don't have to pay a fee either. Basically, you just go through the line. They may ask you the same questions, but then they give you just a stamp and then you can go on your way. I will also make another comment on visa-free countries. Just because a country is visa-free does not mean you can just stay there as long as you want. Many countries still have a limit. So they might say, okay, it's visa-free for 30 days or 45 days, and then you have to leave the country. So a few things to consider is the length of the visa of the country that you're traveling to. You want to make sure that you look up the visa requirements before you book tickets, especially if you're going on a very long vacation, because you don't want to book a vacation for 2 months abroad somewhere and realize later that their visa is only for 30 days. For most countries though, you are able to stay there the length of your visa, leave the country, and then come back shortly after and get a new visa. If you keep doing that over and over and over again, they will see all the stamps in your passport and they may start to get suspicious of what you're actually doing in their country. But that is a possibility. Like, you can stay for 30 days, leave for a little while, and then come back and start a new visa. However, that is not the case for countries in the European Union who are in the Schengen Zone. The Schengen Zone, from what I can understand, is like a treaty amongst 26 of the European countries that basically say the citizens of those countries can travel very easily from country to country, very similarly to how US citizens travel from state to state with only a driver's license. These people in these countries in Europe now can just go from country to country with only like a driver's license. So with this treaty, it unfortunately affected the travel visas for US citizens quite a bit. So you can only stay in the Schengen Zone, any of the Schengen Zone, for 3 months out of every 6 months. So you have to completely leave and you cannot return for 3 more months. And so you have to, if you're in for 3 months, you have to be out for 3 months. But the United Kingdom is different. They are part of Europe, but they're not part of the European Union and are not within the Schengen Zone. So they're completely separate. So you can actually go, they have their own visas. So they're not part of all the Schengen Zone visas. Another thing about the Schengen Zone, let's say you have 3 weeks, you're doing 1 week in Greece, 1 week in Italy, 1 week in Spain. You will get a passport stamp in Greece since it's the first Schengen Zone country that you will be arriving in. You'll get a stamp there, but you will not get an entry stamp for Italy or Spain. You will then get an exit stamp from Spain because that is the last country that you were visiting before you go back home. An important thing about passports, make sure that your passport is good for 6 months after you are planning to return home. If you plan to go to Mexico, but your passport is expiring in 5 months, you will not be able to board the plane, even though maybe you're only going to Mexico for a week, so you would be back well within that 6 months. They will not let you. They will not let you go to the country. Your passport has to be valid for 6 months after you get back from the country. Also, another good tip, if you're going to be traveling from country to country, then I would recommend bringing small passport photos, like just ones that you can get at Walgreens. Just have them print out a few and have a little stack with you, because many times if you're going to extend your visas or apply for new ones, they do require that you have a picture. So it's nice to have like a little stack that you can just staple with the applications. I know this video has had so much information crammed in. It's a lot of information for basically my first travel tips video. But it's a really, really important one, so I figured I would start with it. So there is an app that I use that makes it really, really easy to look up different passport requirements for people from every country. You can enter in what your home country is, and then it will list all of the visa requirements for all the countries. So it's called Passport Index. They have an app and they also have an online page as well. So it's just passportindex.org. And I will open my app here and I will give you guys kind of a tour of the app. because it's really helpful and it lays out everything just right in front of you. So here we go.
All right, so here I am opening up the Passport Index app, and the first thing that will pop up is this grayed out world map. Up in the top left corner, we're going to add what country our passport is from. It'll automatically try and guess where it is from based on your location. So first I'll click yes, I'm from the US, then yes, I have a US passport, and yes, I confirm. Then you can enter in more passport details or you can exit. So now here's the map again with all of the different kinds of visas that are required for an American passport. I'll click on a few here. So first I'll click on Indonesia, and you can see I can get a visa on arrival. Then if I click on Thailand, you can see it's visa free. Then if I click on China, you can see it requires a regular visa. And then Australia requires the ETA. Then just so you guys can see what it looks like for other passports, I'll click on the plus button to add another passport here, and I'll enter it in manually. So I'll choose China. So now you can see the colors on the map have changed. So if I toggle between the US and China passports, it shows how different the requirements are for each country. Then here on the bottom, you can have an option to click and compare passports. It shows you pretty much the same information, but now side by side for each passport.
Okay, that is it for this video. I know it's a lot of information very, very quickly, but I am writing a blog post about this video now, so hopefully I'll have that up, looking at my calendar, by Tuesday. Hopefully by Tuesday I will have the written version of this video on my blog. So if you want to access it, refer back to it, you can just go visit my blog site. It's adventuringwithclare.com, and then click on the travel tips button in the menu, and then that will bring you to that page with the visa requirement blog and this video embedded in there as well if you want to refer back. So thank you guys very much for watching. I will see you guys next week. I'm thinking with a video just about my life as a scuba instructor. So I will see you guys then.